the Ishimura Dimir Rogues build, as we bring it up now, a little different to what you'd expect in this from this archetype, Corey.
Yeah, no kidding. And where you replace Rune Crab with Vantress Gargoyles, Gem Razor is just over there looking at chops like, yes, main deck artifacts instead, where that ability was completely useless. That is going to actually help Lee. You know, it is a 5/4, so it's a giant creature that can do some blocking, but it's slightly a liability, which is kind of what I've been saying about these Gargoyles a lot. Like, I think Jeskai Mutate is like the one matchup where it's just way better. Way better, right? Like, it's just a much better card. But otherwise, even like Nigh Adventures, it can be chopped down. Here, it can be Gem Razors. So they've been really good and really awkward at times, but always spicy.
Jumping into game number 2 here, you can see the sideboarding that's gone on for both of these players. And I can see here, it looks like Chainweb Arachnia has featuring heavily in Shi Tian's opener, which is a nice one against rogues. It's a nice one to be sure. Can trade off early, or at least block early, and then just keep coming back and punishing any flyers that get played. And with Escape, obviously, that's the sort of card that you want against rogues, as they're going to mill you out so often. But a nice aggressive start here with Ranger class and a 1/1 from Lovestruck Beast. So he's off to the races, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. Chainweb is one of the, I would say, not top escape cards to deal with rogues, but it's the only one that you really have available to you in mono green. So that's kind of the big drawback in this matchup. Ox being insane, Kling being insane, Phoenix of Ash being insane. I think Chainweb's right after that, but of course, any escape card is going to be huge up against rogues.
Yeah, 2 cards in the sideboard. Both have been brought in. Both have been drawn here as well. And one of them's just going to be played out here after a power word kill removes the wolf token.
That hand is really nice for Shintaro as well, being able to just have a lot of things available this turn. You can either just play a land, have that 3-mana leak available in the form of Mystical Dispute. You can just play a Wind Robber, kind of try to set up these Into the Stories a little bit. And then the main thing is just having Crippling Fear. Cedric has been kind of saying it the whole weekend. We've seen it a lot on camera, and it's been interesting, to say the least, at times. And there's been some spots where it's looked not so great even. But here, against this mono green deck, it's going to clean up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of work, and it is really matchup dependent. Playing it in the main deck is a bit of a gamble, but it seems to have been one that's paid off for Ishimura, because his particular like weird build of rogues has certainly done a lot of work for him this weekend. Is Lovestruck Beast. That's going to get hit by a Mystical Dispute, and Shi Tian, a bit of a nod of the head there. Yes, okay.
Yeah, that was huge. Based on Shintaro's hand, and I think if Lee had perfect information here, would have just been like, ooh, I'm going to play land 4, attack with Faithless Haven, get it in there when there's no removal and there's only the Mystical Dispute. Of course, Lee does not have perfect information here, and if there was another removal spell, that play wouldn't have been as good, but...
Jasper Sentinel. And one of the draws to this mono green deck. I mean, there aren't many lists that still play Faceless Haven, right? Like, it was played in some aggressive green decks or red decks, what have you. Some white decks were playing it early on in the format with Paladin class joining the standard format in AFR. But broadly speaking, we haven't seen a lot of Faceless Haven. It's a difficult card to play in anything other than a monocolored deck, and it's one of the main reasons, I guess, that you want to play a list like this, because it does hit hard and it is difficult to deal with unless you come prepared.
Yeah, totally agree. Saw it a little bit in Is It Dragons when that deck was kind of emerging, and now it just kind of proved that Jeskai Mutate is the evolution of that style of decks. But that was really the only style of deck that I've seen play Faceless Haven and have 2 colors. Like, that's a really tall order, because you don't want to play those snow duels over temples, because they're not that good. They're not as good when you can't scry.
Werewolf Pack Leader's not a bad draw here. Played in conjunction with the Chainweb Arachnia. That will be enough next turn to turn on the Pack Leader, although Ishimura, 500 cards in hand, you know he's going to have something.
That was a great draw, too.
Vantress Gargoyle, nice one.
Vantress Gargoyle is kind of awkward because it does... put Shintaro in a weird spot where he can't really play a land because then it can't block. Vantress Gargoyle is a very tough card to play. And with that Primal Might, even if Shintaro were to play Lawfully Denial to counter it, which is definitely available, then all of a sudden you can't block.
So the attack with Faceless Haven. Lee having another read of the card. Wait, can he attack with it? Can he block with it? What can he do with this card?
Yeah. Looks like recognizing that, yes, he can block, but with Ranger class, you're being able to put a counter on Werewolf Pack Leader. Not only do you get to draw a card, you also just get to trade with the Gargoyle for either one of those threats. So a really nice attack here from Lee.
And I think you're fine doing that. I mean, Ishimura has paid a real cost not playing a land. And if you trade your pack leader after it's already having drawn a card, I mean, you're trading a 2-drop for a 2-drop here. No, instead it's going to be Faceless Haven that the Gargoyle trades with, and this leaves the Werewolf around a rumble. And there's no answer to it at the moment in Ishimura's hand. I mean, I'm sure he'll find one at some point. The Rogue's deck is filled with removal spells, but as it is here and now, he doesn't have a way to deal with the Werewolf pack leader, which next turn will be able to attack without any mana investment. With Pack Tactics. No, false. Because it will attack as a 4/4. It actually won't trigger
you'd have to pay the ability.
It will become a 6-power attack, but not early enough for the pack leader to trigger. So Merfolk Windrobber the play here for Ishimura. Can't cycle that one away just yet, and then puts Lurrus in hand. Hive the play comes into play tapped, and another Ranger class. Oh boy, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. Plus, this Primal Might is pretty good. I mean, as it stands, Primal Might is +4, so this is 9 damage. Ranger class makes it 10. If Lee wants, Lee could put Shintaro down to 2 life already. I suspect we're going to probably do a little something else. Since it isn't quite lethal, you might as well, let's say, play Ranger class, level it up, and make 2 really strong attackers. And all of a sudden, you look at the ways that Shintaro comes back into this, and it's pretty tricky to do so.
I like this. It gives you more options. It doesn't win you. Well, I mean, neither line wins you the game on the spot, but putting your opponent down to 2, I don't think is a big enough incentive here when you don't have any kind of reach. You don't have a burn spell or anything that can, a Prismari command that can take them out from there. So I think here, diversifying your aggression, having an extra attacker next turn, it's only 3 life difference after the second Ranger class comes down, and you've still got that Primal Might in hand to take out something if it's played this turn. Something like, for example, this Lurrus.
Yeah, and what really Shintaro needs here is just Thieves Guild Enforcer in the graveyard to have that death-touching creature to be able to block every single turn and kind of get back into this, and while simultaneously hoping that Lee just doesn't have anything. Shintaro cannot really beat anything, and that anything is definitely included with Primal Might. Primal Might here is going to be devastating.
Yeah, Primal Might's going to be huge because it just means that all of these creatures are free to attack, and you can still kill the Lurrus. Although that will gain... I mean, either way, Ishimura is on an effective 8 life because of the lifelink, irrespective of how you play it. Is this a Primal Might here for 0? Okay.
For 0, and then I think that turns, I'm guessing, I don't know exactly how many cards, but that would make sense, that this turns on Chainweb Arachnid.
Chainweb Arachnid, which can come in and snipe one of the flyers. Yeah. Look at this.
Because it's not even fighting, it is deal damage, if I remember correctly.
No, that's
so
what
it's
I say.
Just shoot.
Just comes in and snipes it. That's right. Just shoots it out of the sky. The old Stinger Fling Spider trick. Look at this. Vantress Gargoyle bites the dust. This is a big attack, and Ishimura recognizes the jig is up. Shi Tian, a very tidy win there in game number 2 to equalize things between these two. Very impressed by the way that Lee managed to pull that win together. Ishimura not finding the removal spells that he needed. And Chainweb Arachnid, we said it's not the best, certainly. It's not the best escape card, but it really, really did some work for him here.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee definitely just put Shintaro in his web there and climbed that one to victory. And now we got ourselves a big game 2 ahead of us. Or excuse me, game 3.
Game 3, exactly. Yeah, it does look like there's a slight error in the sideboard graphics there because you can see 8 cards have been brought in when 10 have been taken out. So I think that the 2 cards missing there are those Chainweb Arachnids that have also been brought in for Shi Tian. Things on the top there, that ledger, nice and balanced. Unsurprising to see extra removal spells brought in, including Ray of Enfeeblement.
All right, so it looks like we did see a mulligan there from Shintaro, something you definitely don't want when this is the biggest game for these two players. But overall, still a pretty strong hand, has a lot of disruption, has that crippling fear to clean up some stuff later on. But then a really, really nice hand for Lee. Just being able to just curve out and play creatures for the next 3, 4, 5 turns.
Just incredible as well that these green decks now have effectively, I mean, it's not quite hard removal, but it's as close as you get in the green color, like with stuff like Blizzard Brawl, stuff like Ram Through. And in this matchup in particular, the old Stinger Fling Spider remix in the form of Chainweb Arachnia, this is not an effect that green gets a lot of, but when it does, it can be put to great use, particularly when you're chucking around some heavyweights like Lovestruck Beast. But for now, just a Heart's Desire in with a Jasper Sentinel. No, not attacking, of course.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that's pretty crazy because these fight style effects, Ram Through, Blizzard Brawl, stuff like this usually isn't good against a deck that has a ton of removal just because it's a liability, right? If you go to try to kill one of these rogues and then they respond with a power word kill or something, it's just a blowout. But
that's why we see the Ram Through just there, very cleverly taking out that rogue before anything can happen. Ishimura takes the turn off, puts the Lurrus into hand, and now with that second green source, ready to play Kazandu Mammoth here, and that's quite a sizable threat. You can see that there are removal spells in hand here for Ishimura. Power Word Kill, Crippling Fear, and the Drown of the Lock, which will eventually come online. But as it is, Lee's about to put some serious beef on the board.
This is a huge decision by Lee. If you put Mammoth into play, we have a nice Crippling Fear. If you put Lovestruck Beast into play, Shintaro goes back to the drawing board. But I think Shintaro is praying for a Mammoth right now, so we'll see if Lee decides to play this Lovestruck Beast and try to diversify threats again to make sure these Crippling Fears are as minimally impactful as possible.
The thing about Crippling Fear as well is that it does switch off the Lovestruck Beast, even if it doesn't remove it altogether, and then you need to find another 1/1. And Corey, you've raised this point before. Lee isn't playing Edgeworld Innkeeper. There aren't a lot of 1/1s in this deck. As I cast my eye down the list that he's playing here, the only 1/1s that are in the list are Swarm Shambler, and of course the 1/1s from Lovestruck Beast. So, Jasper Sentinel, Chainweb Arachnia, they're 1/2s. They don't do the same job.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I'm looking as well. I don't see any layers either. You can't really play that many creature lands. And layer is that one way to kind of cheat those into play, where even if you play it that turn, just turn into a 1/1 and then get in there for 5. But yeah, Lovestruck Beast, as amazing of a card it is, it's probably the worst in these mono green decks outside of just going Lovestruck Beast into the Great Henge. That's still insane. And that's something that these other adventure decks don't really have access to anymore.
Lovestruck Beast is at its best in conjunction, of course, with Edgeworld Innkeeper, or if you're not going to get a card advantage with that card, the other thing it does really well is sit there and block. Right? Like that's something that we've seen Lovestruck Beast do in previous matchups when Mono Red was really good. You would just play a 5/5 and just be like, all right, good luck. Yeah. Good luck. Let's see you get through this, right? And so often they wouldn't be able to. But as you say here, it's exposing the weakness of the card in the sense that one removal spell will on the 1/1 will just take the beast more or less out of the equation.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the tough spot. That's why Crippling Fear here, while it is good dealing with these creatures, we're probably just still going to see, I like this a lot. Lurrus into Thieves Guild Enforcer. You can either chump a few times. If they have the other fight spell, so be it. They're on cue. Well. There's another Blizzard Brawl.
So Blizzard Brawl here, I don't think it's... oh, no, of course it is with the Haven. I was going to say, I don't think its secret snow mode is going to be activated, but it is going to be enough there with the Haven. And so because there are three snow permanents, it gains indestructible, +1/+0 indestructible. So this means that, I mean, I guess Ishimura's tapped out, so it's not really going to matter here, but Blizzard Brawl gives you that certainty that it's going to get the job done here, and also allows you to target the Jasper Sentinel instead. That's nice. Gets rid of the Lurrus here, and is also, by the look of things, going to get rid of this Thieves Guild Enforcer.
Yeah, and we did see the gaining of 3 life. This one is a fight instead of just dealing damage. It's kind of confusing from this mono green deck. There's a lot of things that just deal damage, a lot of things that do fight. But look at this giant swing here
Bang.
for Lee.
Getcha.
Yeah, and really putting himself in a good spot already. These removal spells from Shintaro are just pretty awkward. And then all of a sudden, you look at these Faithless Havens. We don't see 4 Field of Ruins like we see from these Izzet control decks to be able to cleanly deal with these cards. Faithless Haven's just going to be a huge problem in this match for Shintaro.
Power Word Kill doesn't kill Faceless Haven, of course, because it is not only an angel and a demon, it's also a dragon and a devil.
Yeah,
So,
it really doesn't kill that one. Checks all the boxes, if you will.
Does not kill it, although I believe Drown the Lock will take it out without too much difficulty.
Yeah, Crippling Fear, if that scenario ever were to come up in any way, shape, or form, would not deal with it either, for similar reasons.
Another Love Struck Beast off the top's not too bad. Can cast both halves of that here. But let's see what the move is now for Ishimura. You can see him with a smile on his face. Characteristic of this bloke. He seems to just always be having the time of his life, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Always having fun, even in a position that is maybe not so much fun. You have a removal spell for this Love-Struck Beast. We'll see what Lee decides to play. Maybe tries to deploy Heart's Desire plus Love-Struck Beast as well. And then, well, that Drown can counter that. And then Crippling Fear can clean them all up. But then you just have the problems of Faithless Haven to deal with. I wonder if we're going to see Gem Razor here. Just because it's a 4/4.
Looks like it'll be Love Struck Beast instead here. Again, with the 4 mana, 2 green, you are able to cast both halves. Nope. Gem Razor.
I like it.
Nope. Kazandu Mammoth. Shi Tian taking his time over this decision. I guess it is a tough one at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, it's going to be Gem Razor here. Can mutate onto the Jasper Sentinel, but not a huge amount of, not really any point in doing that.
And once again, this Crippling Fear, I will stick to what Cedric has been saying the whole time, just looking pretty awkward. The best players in the world know that this is an option in a face-up tournament, in an open deckless tournament, and we just see players playing around it all the time, and I just personally haven't seen it completely devastate really any opponent so far. It's just been so okay at best.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few sweet moments with it, but I know what you mean. Like, it's never just been the Wrath of God that you kind of want it to. Well, like, you want it to be a Plague Wind, really, don't you? That's why Rogues plays it. So it'll copy something like an Ingarrick's Wake and destroy all their creatures while leaving yours untouched. So Gem Razor here, it looks like Ishimura is thinking about countering this. I believe there must be 4 cards in the graveyard by now, so it is a legal target or not a legal target. It is a target for Drown the Lock.
Yeah, I kind of think you just have to. Like, otherwise, this 4/4 is going to make some quick work of it. And then the real interesting play is going to be if we Crippling Fear next turn, or if we Crippling Fear next turn, to just deal with 2 really mediocre creatures. But what else are you going to do? And also, what are we going to name, Riley?
I mean, that's the real question, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important question. So, here is Crippling Fear.
What are we going to name?
See what the pick is, just Assembly Worker. Okay. All right. Well, I guess Shintaro Ishimura's favorite fruit is the low-hanging kind here. As we see, Heart's Desire, make a 1/1, and Love Struck Beast will follow that up with a 5/5. Chainweb Arachnia, the pickup for the turn.
All right, I think this is the cue for Shintaro to draw into the story to be able to get something going.
Feels like it, but it's it's a pathway instead. And now he's looking at a clean attack 4/10. It is lethal here.
Maybe his story coming to an end.
He doesn't have a hive. He doesn't have any way to block. So let's see if Lee is going to go for it here. 1 card in hand for Shintaro Ishimura. We could be seeing the end of his incredible run here as the loser of this game. We'll be knocked out of our top 8. And it looks like Shi Tian is about to pick up a win here with this mono green deck as he comes across for 10. Ishimura offers the GG and takes lethal. So unfortunately, Shintaro Ishimura going down still With a smile on his face, though, he has had the time of his life playing this weekend, and I tell you what, he's put on quite a show. But look at the relief on Shi Tian's face, mate. He is so